Howdy, friends and neighbors. It's showtime. We are going to get into it tonight. All about your Kansas City Chiefs and how they exist in this NFL, whether it's pluses or minuses. We have a lot to talk about. And I know that we have to talk about what the offense has to do, or what they feel they have to do, as everything churns on this thing as a team. It is a team game after all. We're going to get into your questions. I'll have those. I think Dan's going to join me, and I'm looking forward to it. Welcome to RGR Football. Welcome back, everybody. Glad you're here. Evidently, I missed part of the party because Gooch has already hit the ground running on the Super Chat. So welcome and thank you. Appreciate that. And guys, you get to see Gooch when you become a member. You can see his series here on the channel called Rogue Life on Tuesday nights for the most part. You will get an episode tomorrow night, and that is part of the Rogue Nation. You members, I'm going to give you an update here in a little bit after we get through the main concept of what my thought is tonight. We'll hit the Super Chats, and then we'll start taking questions. Here it is. There is a lot of hubbub. If you guys don't follow Joel Corey on Twitter or on his podcast on CBS Sports called The Agent's Take, or the columns that he writes, former agent in the NFL, a lot of really good insight about the way contracts work, not just what they are, like you get on OTC and Spot Track, which are two great aspects of having outside information that can give you an idea of what the financials are of a given team or the league itself. Jason does a great job over at OTC, and so do the guys at Spot Track. And I kind of bounce back and forth between all of them because there is a lot of play and there's a lot of opinion in a lot of places. But Joel really outlined on his podcast yesterday really what the options are for Frank Clark. And that brings me back around to whatever happens. There are ways the Chiefs can get out of his contract. Yes, it involves the commissioner's list and those kind of things. There's several things that have to happen in order to part ways from Frank Clark. I don't know that that's in the cards. If things get worse in terms of more charges or the severity of charges, I think it could be. I'm guessing that there's a lot of discussion at One Arrowhead Drive about that right now, but I don't know what the outcome's going to be. But regardless of what it is, I think a suspension is probably coming in some form from the league, whether it's the commissioner's list or not. That'll determine hey, is it economical to part ways or not? It comes back to, are you getting what you want or what you are paying for? And I know, Gooch, I know you'll have comments as soon as I say this, but that's been the question about Frank Clark. And I still feel like he has it in him to be the Frank Clark he was in Seattle, but we haven't seen it much. Despite the postseason, he has rallied to the postseason multiple times. But let's say that he's already a guy that is underperforming his contract in the regular season, and now he's likely to miss at least some time. You have to think with the way the league has been putting down penalties. So that brings me back to, what do you do? There's a couple of things. Dan's going to look at some this week, I think. In fact, I have the headphones on because Dan will be joining later. Because you have to compensate for that. Whether it's Frank not at his maximum or Frank not on the field, you still have to compensate for it. And I think personally that the onus goes on Taco Charlton to be the pass rusher. Does he have to be the every down guy? No, I don't think so. I think they're comfortable with Mike Dannon being able to do that. But here's the thing. Is this the first time in a long while that you've had bookends? Back with the Justin and D Ford days where you had both of them that could pressure together. Now you're talking about having a fill-in across from Chris Jones that you just moved out to end, which quite frankly is a great idea, but he hasn't done it game after game yet. It's going to take an adjustment period till he's getting off on the snap. I think Chris has great anticipation of the snap, but I don't know that he jumps it right off the bat every time. That will take some going. So you need somebody on the other side, and now you might not have Frank Clark for that time. So whether it's fill-in, whether it's Taco, whether it's Kando steps up or Tim Ward steps up, or they bring someone else in, which with a Tyrann Mathieu extension is definitely a possibility. If Clark goes on the commissioner's list, that then does allow you to forfeit his base salary, which would come off of the cap, which means you could make another signing as well that way. There are some options there. But regardless of it, all of this goes in to say that you have a very inexperienced overall group at cornerback. You have Juan Thornhill, who should be your single high safety that's going to play too high a lot as well with Tyron, that should be the stopgap, but they took it easy in training camp, in minicamp, in mandatory, as well as OTAs. There's some questions on the back, and now you don't have the pass rush that you thought you would have up front, meaning two guys on the outside and Reid in the middle, together with whatever you can get out of Wharton and Saunders, and if they do decide to do anything else. That is a lot of saying that now you're talking about half of the 53 not doing what you thought it was going to be able to do, and that puts the pressure back on Mahomes and the offense. And I think, unfortunately, this is not something that we're unused to, or that Patrick's unused to, because he's had to deal with this for a bit. But I do think that it is putting unnecessary pressure on a brand new line group to come together, on a third wide receiver to step forward and claim that spot. There are some question marks, as well as a young running back looking to actually make himself a household name, not just a good player, but the guy that you selected in the first round. And a question mark, really, about how they're going to use Noah Gray. I think that's a lot. And I think that does put pressure. And I think if anybody feels the pressure, it's Patrick Mahomes, because I think he is a guy that will take that on his shoulders. Not just from a leadership, but from a competition, as an inner core competition kind of guy. I do think that is something that will happen. So it's going to be interesting. And I think something has to be done to shore up the defense to take some of that pressure back off. Because while I do expect that Patrick Mahomes will outplay pressure that he feels, I'm not sure that you can say that that's necessarily the case for the whole offense. There's a coming together that has to happen on a number of positions here, that you want to make that as comfortable as possible, because I think that eases confidence in getting into the play book and the offense itself. I think pressure is a negative thing in this situation. So we want to find a way to kind of solidify what's going on the defensive side and take that pressure back off, is my thought. See some other comments in here. DD, yeah, Nate had a great article. He has some ideas. It's going to come down to dollars and cents. And again, Ingram is another guy that is like Frank Clark, that has a hefty salary and doesn't always perform to it either. So there's question marks there. Gooch, thank you for the super chats. And we are going rogue, brother. And I got your first one. Stevie's in the house as well. Nice to see that. I always miss these, and I went in early. I'm glad you made it, Tyler. In Arizona, rock on. Trade ideas. I think if you could trade one disgruntled guy for another, I'd trade for Chandler Jones for Frank Clark straight up right now. Why not? It's going to be an interesting one. Brett made it. Ben Brett Beck, thank you very much, as always. Appreciate the support. If you guys want to support the channel, the super chats are a great way to do it. So is the gear at the RGR store. We have a couple of things there, and we have some new things coming for the season. I also want to tell you that if you want to support the channel, memberships are a great way to do it. Right now, we're working out the final. I'm hoping to have invitations to the members-only Discord out this week. I've been doing some work piecing it together late at night, and I know you guys are waiting for that. Discord is a way for the member community on this channel to be on its own thing, message board, constant talking like this, but 24/7 if you want to do it, because I can't be online 24/7. But that comes with the memberships, and if you guys want to do that, you can click the join button down there. There's several tiers, and we'll work that out as we get the invitations out. So I just want to make sure there was one more super chat that I need to. Oh, it's Ben. Okay. Ben, you've been all over this place already. Thank you, sir. Again, much appreciated. And with Ben's, I know he'll have a question underneath, but I see one from Scott as well. So we'll start with Scott. In terms of the questions for tonight, make sure if you're new and you're seeing this for the first time, like, sub, hit the bell notification. And if you were like the guy last week who wasn't happy with my opinions, that's perfectly fine. Don't sub. But my opinions are what we're here for, and we're going to break this team down as to what this is going to be. The nice thing about conversation, and please keep it nice in the comment section, is our fearless leader, the mod father himself, Aaron, is in the house. And if you members did just get a first of his videos, as well as Jeff Porter, almost everybody's here in the house tonight as terms of the RGR staff. So I like seeing that. We're going to keep that going as we get into the regular season. Scott asked, who should be concerned the Chiefs Kingdom Kool-Aid drinker is going to be most defensive about at the highest risk of underperforming in 2021? Whew, that's a good one. The Kool-Aid drinkers. I mean, I feel like most of Chiefs Kingdom is pretty honest about the fact that this is a crossroads for McCole Hardman. But I think they will have a tendency to go heavy on him. I do think that Frank's going to get a little bit more vitriol than he probably has in the past. And I hope that doesn't boil over and become concern about Chris Jones, and that's what I'm trying to remind everybody of. This is going to be his first foray into playing defensive end. I won't say full-time, but the majority of the time. I do think he'll play more than 51% of the snaps at end. So that's my thoughts, Scott. Let's see. Ben, I'm going to keep looking for another question from you underneath that super chat. Let's see. Oh, Scott had another one. Where does Ryan get his camp morning coffee? I get it down the road in Shawnee usually as I'm leaving town. My brother lives down on the southwest side of town, and I usually start out from there. So I need that to scoot up 435, to tell you the truth. And for those of you interested, I finally got through to Chiefs Rewards. I will not be credited for camp, so I will be attending just like the fans. And they helped me clear things up. My browser wasn't working, so I do have session tickets for the 16th and 17th, and hopefully soon the 18th as well. I don't know that I'll make it all 3 days, but we'll see. Those are the last 3 days of camp, so it's post the first game, so we'll get to see what action happens, and then we'll kind of dissect it from there. And then what I find really interesting, and the reason that I always target that week, is you get to see what changes the staff makes. Who are they giving more reps to? Who are they giving less to? Who are they spending more time with in terms of coaching time, teaching time on the field? And that is always very telling as to who's going to see the field come the regular season. So that's why I do it that way. If you guys would like to be there, that is the weekend or the couple of days after the first preseason game, which is away. Scott, 3 AFC teams could probably be a struggle for the Chiefs. Bills, Titans, and I don't know. I'm torn between Cleveland and the Ravens. Whoever doesn't beat the snot out of the other one more. It all depends on matchups. And I think on paper, both those teams have enough push to combat some of what the Chiefs want to do. It's going to come down to who's where and who can exploit what. I'm hopeful that L'Jarius Sneed continues his progress and the acceleration upward that I expect from him. But we always have to remember, very, very volatile position in terms of performance, the cornerback group. And having such a successful rookie year, sometimes they might find a couple of things on tape that you didn't do well and attack that relentlessly. We saw that with Philip Gaines. We saw that with Steve Nelson at times. This is how the league works. So let's see what he does. Let's see if somebody identifies a chink in his armor and attacks it, and then how he responds. But I do feel that he's going to come out the better on the other side of it. Folks, if you're asking questions, make sure you question marks at the beginning of your sentence. It helps me find them. And if I missed you because I was scrolling earlier, please forgive me. You don't have to do super chats in order for me to see them. They are very visible to me in this particular way, but I'll try to get to everyone. But super chatters, I will definitely get you an answer tonight. Let's see here. Avery's in the house, and Avery said there is no pressure when dealing with the King's Guard. Okay, fair enough. I like that. I hope it goes that easily. I'm very hopeful that you're absolutely right, and it's not a deal at all. What level of membership is required for the graphic Rogue mask to cover any of our speakers during a live? I'm not sure what you mean. You could probably put a t-shirt over it, and you can do that from anywhere. I'm not sure, Scott. You'll have to elaborate for me or get something to Aaron and tell me what you're talking about. Now I'll see what I can do. Cody, do you see this new Chiefs O-line as having the most pressure on them than any previous O-lines the Chiefs have had? I mean, I don't know that I would say that. I think honestly, I think Orlando Brown really kind of illustrated it the most. Now, he's a very confident guy, and he's a guy who wants to be regarded not only as a left tackle, but one of the best left tackles in the league. He's trying to live up to his dad's legacy, and I completely understand that. But he came in and said, my job is to make sure that Patrick isn't touched. That is a tall order today. And I think that while that is a little bit over the top and a little bit about him feeling that he is capable of doing that, and good for him, I like the confidence, it does put a little more pressure on them just because they're protecting the best quarterback in the league. You know, we're having talking heads argue this week about whether it's him or Brady, like LeBron and Jordan. And Patrick himself had to say, easy. I'm not there. I'm not in that conversation yet. And so I do feel like some of his teammates, particularly the offensive line, probably feel a little bit more pressure because it's Patrick. But in terms of a unit, I wouldn't say anything beyond anyone else. You got to keep your quarterback upright. It's job number one if you're an offensive lineman. Running certainly is secondary in terms of keeping your QB healthy, because that will end a run as fast as anything. So, and I know, I know in the national media, PFF, et cetera, there's a lot of, hey, these guys could be as good as, you know, Trent Green's line. Easy. Just take it easy. I don't think these guys feel that pressure. I think the fans wanna enjoy that, but I don't think that's pressure that's due them. Let's see them come together first. Let's see just how good they can get this season, and then we can talk about longevity. Let's see here, Scott. If Clark has to do prison time, do the Chiefs have to pay him? No. If he's convicted, that will void his contract. They'll release him immediately. They'll recoup his cap number. The personal conduct clauses within the CBA are very clear on that. So I don't think that will be won't be an issue. Aaron, I'm trying. Thank you, buddy. Let's see here. Looking for question marks, folks. Yeah, if you guys would hit the thumbs up, that always helps us get found. Believe it or not, there is a huge portion of Chiefs Kingdom that doesn't even know that we're here on YouTube because they're not necessarily YouTube regulars. So when you do that, we're trying to spread the word, grow the kingdom, grow Rogue Nation. And I know you guys don't all like that, but I think we're gonna stick with it because the guys that are running it, Stevie and Gooch and Aaron and Jeff, they all dig it. So we're gonna ride it out. And hey, maybe eventually we're gonna have to say, hey, Raider Nation kind of sounds like Rogue Nation now, you know? Jimmy, how are you? Trying to stay positive. I can't be the only member of the kingdom getting wary of the Chiefs making headlines for the wrong reasons, can I? Those are the things that other teams have, right? No, you're absolutely right. In fact, I said this to Matt the other day. I think it was on the recording. If not, it was just after. It's like, this is getting old. You know, the Tyreek Hill stuff was bogus. We know that now because the Kansas Department of Child Safety cleared him. He has possession of his kids. It ends up that his ex made a lot of that up. There's even questions about going back to the original incident. That's a big thing. And then Bashad last offseason, and now this stuff with Frank, like, it's just too much. These things need to not happen. If your players are bought into being the kind of franchise that they should be here, that I know the coaching staff and the front office expect, this stuff has to stop. I'm not sure what the deal is. I know Frank is Frank, and Frank's always been from LA, and Frank's always had that edge. I like that edge on the field. That comes with some off-field stuff as well. And I wonder what we'll see in terms of the front office not being so keen to take chances on guys that are a little iffy off the field. Not, way out there, but a little bit out there. Well, how does that change where their line is drawn is my question. We'll only know that as time goes by. Voodoo. Is the D-line room Jones, Reid, Naughty, Saunders, Clark, Dana, Taco, Wharton, and Kando? I don't really see room for anyone else. Let's see. You got two starters. You got Taco and Dana as the backups. You have Kando out there. Then you have Reid and Naughty, your starters, Saunders and Wharton, your backups inside. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, Tim Ward's out there. My guess is there's going to be another acquisition. I don't know who it's going to be. But yeah, for the most part, let's see how everybody does in camp. We're not even at camp yet. You're going to have to convince me that Kando's ready to make a roster, not a practice squad. So we'll see. But hey, that's what everybody said about LJ last year, and Snead definitely proved it. They were drafted in the same round. So, different positions have different rates of success. We're just going to have to see how they go. Let's see. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please smash that thumbs up. Aaron, you are on top of it as always, and I appreciate it. Let's see. Can I find? I went too far and too slow. Pono, how are you? Getting back to last year's Super Bowl loss, no one ever brought up the fact the major reason Andy was dealing with his son's ordeal. Whose mind can be on the game? That's a very good point. The whole staff swore up and down that it didn't affect them. There's no way that that's literally possible. The question is how much. The fact that they seem to prepare a game plan where they expected Todd Bowles to play man and have their opportunities to get Tyreek loose like they did the first time, that was an underestimation. I don't know how much that plan was clouded by what happened or not. There's just no way for me to know. Maybe someday we'll find out, but right now, I don't see how it couldn't have affected not only Andy, but everyone. Let's see. If I missed anybody in between, please let me know. Do you think that Andy could be tempted to run more if the run blocking takes a significant leap? Yeah, I mean, not only could he, but he should be. Again, that keeps wear and tear off of Patrick. It lets you be a little bit more physical, which this line is better at than the previous version of this line. In fact, every previous version of the line in the Andy Reid era. Okay. Let's see. What do you think about the NBA Finals currently? Who's going to win? I have absolutely no idea. I do not watch the NBA ever. I like defense, so I watch college basketball, and that is only when it's convenient around the football season. So I'm a football first guy. I'm nearly a football only guy. I watch Olympic sports as well. So there's some of that to get me through the days when there's not football to talk about. How many sacks can Kando get? Let's let him make a roster before we start talking about sack production. He didn't have much in college, so it's a far cry to think that he's going to walk in here and start racking up sacks. He has a better opportunity right now, thinking that Frank's going to miss some time. So maybe that's a plus. But I mean, it's all situational. Quite frankly, I didn't think that he used his hands well enough. I didn't think that he used power well enough. I think I've seen him use power on film, but I never thought that he used it effectively enough. He's going to have to do both against NFL tackles. So let's see him work into the lineup and make the 53, and then we'll start worrying about sacks. Voodoo. Excuse me, you guys. Could Devin Key make the roster over Armani Watts if they keep 5 safeties and only 5 LBs? Key has nickel versatility. I don't think I would agree with that. I don't think he can be a nickel corner. I mean, he's like 12 pounds lighter than Dan Sorensen, and Dan's pushing it for being light. But you're definitely right. I do think right now Will Parks is the 4th safety, pretty clearly in my mind. And that's just for his lack of experience in this defense. I think that will change next season. And so then it comes down to special teams. And that's what Armani's got to hold on to if he wants to make it. So I don't know. It is what it is. I think it is down to Armani Watson and Devin Key competing for that spot. And my guess is that they probably go 5-5. Parks can play a little bit of corner if he has to. I think they feel that way about Juan as well, but I don't want to see him do that. I want him to just patrol single high. I mean, and get really good at that. That's what I prefer to see. Gary, who has a better year, Pringle or Powell? Pringle. I think Pringle will be ahead of him pretty convincingly. Oh, look, Dan made it. Hey, buddy.
How's it going, everybody?
Yeah, we're having fun so far.
Yeah, well, I've got a new thing we're trying out today.
You sound better.
I hope so.
After you spent money on it, I certainly hope so.
Yeah, right. Gotta get the
looks good
professional.
too. Dude, vacation did you good.
I mean, we got everything almost set up back here, so
Now I'll try not to monopolize the screen and back off my camera a little bit. Okay, there we go. Okay, rock on, folks. Say hi to Dan.
I think it looks pretty good. I like it.
I do too. I like it, and I like the tall thing in the background. That's rocking.
Yeah, I'm excited about how it's turning out.
Sweet. You look skinny too. You're pissing me off.
I'm sorry. It's not my fault. That's just the hat. The hat makes my face look more symmetrical.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to slim down for camp. That ain't happening. Does Veach build his teams from the outside in or inside out? Which strategy do you think is better? I don't think he has one. I think he's looking for the talent that can really bump a position group the most. You know what I mean? Like he's looking for virtual change. Me personally, I like to start from the middle. Like I'd grab linebackers first because I think they can cover some of the defensive line faux pas if you don't have it. And if they're good in coverage, and they can get some of that middle safety stuff, and then you kind of get the aces beyond that. But that's just me. I've never built an NFL team.
Yeah, I definitely think Veach is just like, he's a good player. He's a good player. I'm going to just bring in good players, guys that I think are good players. I don't think he necessarily is, let's go from, like a lot of people say, you want to build from the trenches. And I would be a person that agrees with that for the most part. But it feels like he's looking at whoever's available and things like that. So he's like, okay, you're going to come in. I bring, Matthew in. I brought Clark in, brought Watkins in. So he's just trying to like pluck guys from wherever he can.
Yeah. And the biggest boost, I think, is wherever he can place it, to tell you the truth. Let's see. 65, glad you made it. Let's see. Okay, so Aaron's going to be at camp on the 16th on Monday. That's the last Monday of camp. That's what I'm aiming at as well.
Okay.
I got a couple hurdles. I got a couple hurdles to work out here, folks, but I am going to try to make it. And we'll put something together here for the staff, and you guys can meet us up somewhere. I don't know. It's going to be hard to keep me out of the beer hall at Boulevard, but, it's a drive. Would you rather have Chris Jones, Jaron Reid combo, or Clark and Jones, since a combo that we have, but might not have all three? Well, I mean, either have all three or you don't. So The most likely right now is Jones and Reid together. Nobody's in trouble over there. If they can get Frank, depending on what happens here, I'd like to see them all three together. But yeah, you're going to have to go with Jones and Reid. And quite frankly, I want them to play next to each other right now. If Frank's not on the field, I want them to play next to each other. Because I think Chris is, like I said, I think he's just going to need a little bit of transition time to get really good at that coming off the ball as an edge.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm not going to I'm aiming to have my defensive, Clark film review on Wednesday. I'm going to try to get that done for you guys. And they love to use Jones and Clark on the same side a lot. It's obvious, like that's their go-to pass rush situation moves. So ideally, you'd still want Clark and Jones on that side. Whatever ends up happening in this situation, whether he gets a suspension, however long that will be, we're not really sure yet. There's still a lot of figuring out process. We don't even know if it'll be this year. Maybe it won't be this year. Maybe it'll be next year. So, I mean, it's just really all a waiting process. But ideally, you would want Clark at defensive end, Jones defensive tackle.
Yeah. I don't know. If he steps into it, though, I might change that up. Because in the end, I think Reid is going to manhandle the inside enough that I think, honestly, I want to see Turk Wharton with him inside and Frank and Chris at the edges. But I just don't know what they're going to do. This whole personal conduct clause has got me a little bit spooked.
Yeah.
Are you going to be doing any filming at training camp or live chats? I usually do some B-roll there. Chiefs have gotten progressively tighter at training camp. I can't bring my long lenses anymore. I can't film 7s or 11s. First it was just team, then it was 7s. Like I can't film anything anymore. I'll get some B-roll, some drills and stuff for you guys. And then we'll be if we're together, we'll do something locally. I work out of my brother's studio in Kansas City as well. If you guys need any portrait work, Tracy Photo, you can always check that out. He's got a really nice studio that I use when I'm there. It looks way better than this, and he's got Google Fiber, so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Yeah, right? So it's a plus. But yeah, we'll definitely have a full slate during camp. Let's see here. Guys, remember questions at the beginning if you would. That will help me find them, just like Brandon's. Are you worried with players like Tyreek and Orlando that our cap space could be a problem in a few years? I'm not. Are you, Dan?
Not even a little bit, to be honest with you, because in a few years the cap's going to supposed to explode with all these new TV deals and everything. So there's kind of a reason that Veach is focused on right now getting some of these contracts, looking at extensions and getting, obviously the Mahomes contract done. This was all in anticipation for this cap space to explode, go up, whatever you want to call it. And I think that they're doing a good job of trying to get out in front of it because, yeah, they're a little strapped right now, but 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 years from now, they're probably going to be more in the middle of that area, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that too. A couple of agents that I talked to are expecting 2024 to be 300 million-ish.
Yeah,
I mean, it's that dramatic. We could be at 240 next year. That's how big this is going to be. So it is really about like treading water just enough to keep your team together right now for the next season or two. And then bam, you should have room. Like it's going to be so much we're going to like, hey, Patrick Steele isn't so bad.
we're already looking at it as it's not so bad. So.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be insane.
Let's see. Michael, how are you? Hardman or Robinson don't show improvement. Who do you see injected into the offense besides Pringle? That's a toss-up. I know what Dan's going to say here in a second.
I don't know if you do.
My guess, I think I do, and I'm not going to use his name because I think you will. But it's about who connects with the offense, who can do the most things. Because if both those guys are not stepping up, then you have two positions that somebody has to know to try to take advantage of what they can do. They're going to give Callaway a look. They gave him a hard look in OTAs, from what I understand. Darius Fountain is a guy who's been in a lot of offenses. And then Dan's going to say,
I'm not going to say Cornell Powell.
Okay.
I'm not. I don't think he's ready for it yet. And unless he comes in and really grasps the offense and gets that route tree under his belt, I still think that Hardman and Robinson will be out there. But it's going to be Clyde. Clyde's going to get more bulk of that pass game work because you can still trot out Hardman and Robinson and force defenses to adjust what they're doing with Clyde in the slot or even just out of the backfield. You can find those mismatches. I think that his second year is where you're going to hopefully see the improvement in the usage in the pass game, more understanding of the offense for him. So that's what I'm going with because I think he's going to have the most impact right away if you use him in the pass game more.
Yeah, and if they're expanding outside of the wide receiver position, I'm going to put a big, heavy asterisk on Noah Gray too.
Yeah,
they like him as much as anybody in this class, as far as I understand, and it's just going to be about can you get all that distraction going and exploit with him underneath.
Yeah,
that's my thought.
Don't get me wrong,
Thank
guys.
you, Michael.
I think Powell's going to be great. I really do, and I'm trying to just shoulder my own expectations and just kind of relax because I do think it's going to take a little while to get the playbook underneath it.
Donk, I'll tell you this. I think it'll be really interesting, and I hope you're not Donk because you're a Broncos fan. If you are, I understand. I live with one of those. But I don't, unless Aaron Rodgers does get traded to the Broncos, I don't know that those games are going to be that great because it's going to be late in the season for both of them. The game that I'm really looking forward to, because I think it's going to be a preview of the postseason, is the Tennessee Titans. Like, I want to see them come and can they really do something new with Julio? How much does he open up their offense? Are they really that much more formidable than the team that has been one-dimensional enough in years late that the Chiefs were able to beat them pretty easily?
Yeah, for me, the Titans are kind of a fringe playoff team, even with Julio. Their defense is atrocious. I'm a little concerned about their offense just because when is it going to happen for Derrick Henry? It's going to happen. He's going to fall off at some point. He's crazy. He's shouldering a ton of carries, but at some point with those carries, eventually it will catch up to him. And I don't know when it's going to be. It doesn't have to be this year, but I believe that with their defense and new offensive coordinator, I'm kind of worried about where that's going to be right now. I'm really more of a feeling out process. But for me, it's against the Bills. We know that their offense is going to be good. I'm interested to see how much better, if at all, their defense is this year. And that's really the point for me, I'm also going to that game, so I'll get to see it in person, and I want to see if Josh Allen continues what he's doing, because you have 1 year. You added Stephon Diggs, and you have 1 year of consistent, excellent play, and now you need to keep going with that. And that's how the Bills are going to stay at the top of the AFC, is if they can continue to have Josh Allen be what he is, but have the defense also start picking up some of the slack, because the Chiefs offense rolled through them in two completely different ways.
Yeah.
They ran against him in the first game, and then they did whatever they want to through the air in the second game. So that's what most game I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that was right there on my list as well. And I'm an Allen fan.
Yeah.
Like I expect him to continue forward. I don't know if he's going to be quite as good as last year, but I don't see a huge regression in his future myself. Excuse me. Jimmy, did you know that in the strike season of 87, Jack Del Rio got into a fight with Otis Taylor in the parking lot and resulted in a civil lawsuit out of court?
What?
I had no clue, my friend. Good Lord. 87. I was still a Bears fan then. Travis, Mike Dana, how much upside is there? That's the big question. I think his floor, I think he proved last year that his floor was pretty high. He was functional. He could play the run. He could play the pass. It's, can he get a little bit more explosive? Can he get a little bit more powerful in his delivery to break down the pocket? I hope so. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, for me, it's about his hands. I think that when you're a pass rusher, an edge rusher, for example, he's actually a very good run defender. He's stout at the point of attack. He doesn't get blown off of his spot. He's able to trench himself in there and set the edge. And I noticed that he does have some good explosion. It's not consistent. And he corners better than you would think for a guy his size. He needs now to work the hands, not just on the outside, but getting inside, finding the placement in the shoulder pads, pushing inside and outside with these tackles. He needs to start understanding how to use leverage and get some of these tackles on their own haunches and force inside and outside. If he can start to do that more consistently, you have a starter, in my opinion. You have a starter opposite Frank Clark, or whoever it's going to be.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought his rip got caught a few times. And I think that is, again, part of the hand fighting. It's also about the shoulder situation. He dips well, I think, but I don't think he applies that pressure into the body cavity of the tackle to get that arm all the way through. So, like, I'm really interested to see how he could be the guy that makes the biggest leap in this sophomore year, maybe.
I'm so excited.
He's a good dude. I'm interested in him. Does Turk move to full-time edge, or do they use him as a situational pass rush specialist? What's key for Wharton to make the transition? I like seeing him practice edge and hope he plays there. I won't say full-time about anybody anywhere on this line right now. Without Frank Clark, everyone's going to have to pick up the slack, and guys are going to move around, is my thought.
Yeah.
But I think Wharton can – the nice thing about Wharton is I think he can rush from both. And for him to take the leap, he's got to, again, work the hands. Good bull rush. He caught some edges. His rip was all right, but I don't see that push-pull. Like, I think he's strong enough to have a good push-pull, but I don't see it on film.
Exactly. And that's the thing, because he's quick. We've seen him get up. He's got explosion. Turk is an insane athlete. He can get in and around guys and use that speed to his advantage. Now he has to use some of that speed to power, like you're talking about with that push-pull. Find ways to mix up your pass rush moves, because if you're just doing speed all the time, they're going to get up on you. It's kind of what we saw with Frank Clark last year, just going around tackles and trying to get around and outside of them. It doesn't always work, and tackles can just sit on what you're doing, or offensive linemen can just sit on that move. They just have to wait for it, and they don't have to guess what you're going to do. You have to start using more power and quickness with your hands, not just your feet. So I'm hoping he takes the next step. And I actually think he might play more at defensive tackle this year until, I mean, maybe at the beginning he plays more edge, considering that we don't know what happens with Clark at this point. So like I said, it's going to be a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah. Bobby, do you think Darrell Williams has 300 plus yards between the tackles this year? It's a really interesting question, because if they do go and run more power and they run more trap, and those guys, he has guards in front of him, for me, it all comes down to how much of a chance he gets. He hasn't had enough chance, in my opinion. He's a guy that needs a little bit of rhythm. If he gets between 50 and 60 carries inside the tackles, then I say, yes, he does.
So here's what's going to happen for me, because I think he's going to be sprinkled in throughout the season. And then in week 17, he's going to be the guy, and they're just going to run the ball with him. And that's probably what's going to push him over that 300 mark.
You're probably right. Looks like I missed a couple here, you guys. I'm going to try to get caught up real quick. Raiders are safety nation from Stevie. Thank you, Stevie. Appreciate the super chat as always. And guys, remember, you members can get Stevie and Gooch in the member videos. And come the season, you guys are going to see them on the weekends as well. I think they're going to have the Saturday show as we get ready for game day. And we got a couple other wrinkles coming your way. So I hope you guys are ready. Then Jake, thank you for the super chat, Jake. I'm sorry I can't display it. I took too long answering one of those. But Jake said, apparently BJ Kissel is really defensive of Frank. He spoke, pardon me, frankly, about it on his show. Over under on the Chiefs having 3 games with 40 plus this year. You mean giving up 40 plus, or
I think
scoring?
that was just a scoring thing.
Okay,
just a different transition.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. BJ and Frank get on really well. Like, if you remember those features when Frank was first acquired to the Kansas City, BJ was all over it. And if anybody outside of the actual team and coaching staff know him, it's probably BJ. So more power to him. I don't think it was the brightest decision. I've said that. But again, you're a guy that people might be targeting for, knowing that you're a millionaire now and you came from that area, and folks have a tendency to want to get paid when somebody else gets paid. So yeah, I'm not gonna hold it against them. I mean, I would definitely have a different tune if Frank Clark was waving a gun around. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, so, I agree 100%.
Okay, good. Gooch said, chances of Frank getting some sort of discipline is a given 2 charges in a year, but we can do an edge by committee, keep people fresh, and probably get the same production. And Gooch has a good point. If he had been performing, 10, 12 sacks a season, 70 pressures a season instead of 44, I would argue, okay, that's going to be hard to replace. But Gooch has a good point. You might be able to get it done by committee. And then Gooch had another super chat. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Gooch.
Scott, he wants to know from Dan, can Creed Humphrey be better than Mitch Morse?
100% he could be better than Mitch Morse. I think he's a better athlete, and I think that he's coming in as a rookie better than Mitch was as a rookie. It's all about that. We've talked a lot about his mental side. He's going to be one of the smartest centers in the NFL coming in this season. He knows the game, the way he understands positional leverage and to play the center position, to call out blitzes and things like that. I think he already kind of knows a lot of what he's going to be doing. So I do believe he could be one of the top tier centers in the NFL.
That would make 3 of them in a row in Kansas City. Well, not in a row. There was Reader in between.
I was about to
say. Sorry. Michael, how long does a fringe player like Dieter hang on before moving on to other pastures with a chance to make the roster? If you would have asked me, it would have been 2 years ago. But I think the writing's on the wall here, because I can name probably 4 guys that should play over him right now. And that does include Powell, and it does include Callaway, Fountain, and Kemp. So I don't see a way he makes this roster. He will not be in my projections, I'll tell you that.
No. And that's not a shot at him either. Like, he's been practice squad fodder. Like, he's gotten some snaps, but that's what he's been. And as much as some people want to see him get that choice, there's a reason he's been on the practice squad. And I think that this is it. This is the last year. If he gets on the practice squad, it's probably over.
Garrett Dieter is just like me at a different level. He was good in college, and when he made the jump to the NFL, he's just not talented enough. And that was exactly what happened to me coming from high school to college. I should have never tried to play college ball because I was not good enough. There's those gray areas, especially if you're good at the level you were at. Yeah. You can't help but try to push for it. You can't hold that against people. It's just that he ran up against, quite frankly, one of the top 3 talented teams at his position in the entire league, on top of making a huge leap to the NFL. So I don't know. I feel for him, but the truth is the truth at the end of the day. Let's see. Mark, glad you're happy. Okay, good. Everybody seems to be pumped to see the guys. We're going to get that going. And yeah, get your gear in the gear store right now as we work to get some new options for you. Stack Bundles, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you.
Don't know if this question is best. Do you see Frank missing games? At this point, I definitely do. I just don't know how many.
Yeah, treating it a lot like what we've seen in the past. Probably get stuck with the 4 game suspension, appeals it, comes down to 2 or 3. We'll see what happens. That's what I'm assuming, though.
Yeah. I mean, if they jump the gun, like supposedly this what was it announced 3 days ago, 4 days ago? So July 9th, they said, hey, we're charging him
Yeah.
on this felony count after investigation when they weren't supposed to have that hearing until October 18th. That's a little bit ahead of time. If we hear something about the second charge before that, I think the league's going to step in at some point.
Yeah.
So just be prepared, you guys. Let's see. More questions. There's a flashback for you. Hardman's improvement on a 10 slot depends on a chemistry of a number one. Read that, Dan. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Michael, I'm trying to figure it out.
Let's see here. Hardman's improvement to a 10 slot depends on chemistry of number 2 wide receiver. I can't say I understand the question. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm gonna tackle it this way. He will run from the other wide, the classic X. He will line up there sometimes.
Oh, top slot. Okay, top slot. Here we go.
Okay. I think. Okay, cool. It could, but it's not necessarily his chemistry with a number 2 receiver. It's whether the defenses are scared of that number 2 receiver, so they're not rolling coverage into the middle. You see teams starting to drop robbers into that middle section behind the linebackers. That means they're not scared of the X, that they're waiting for the crossers from Kelsey and Hardman. That'll tell you. In fact, maybe we ought to do a how to watch the defense to know what they're thinking piece there before the season starts. We'll do that. I will do that because those are some of the giveaways is how a defense aligns. If they think he's a top 10 and the other X isn't that scary to them, they're going to bring guys down into the middle where he's going to work. And that will tell you how they feel.
And the thing about Hardman is that as much as he's going to probably be the best out of the slot, like you said, he's going to play the Z, the Y, the X. He's going to play all over. And that's what Andy Reid wants to do. He doesn't want to pigeonhole guys into a spot, even though I believe that that's what he's going to end up being in his career. But he's got some things, as you guys saw my Mecole Hardman breakdown. There are some things that he does well. He can run against press coverage a little bit. He's got better usage of his hands throughout the season in his route tree and his stem running and everything like that. So it's all about improving to that. And you mentioned the chemistry of a number 2. It's really all about, like Ryan was talking about, the leverage against who he's playing against. If they bring, someone in an actual dedicated slot corner to cover him, like one-on-one, then they respect him a little bit more, in my opinion. And they want to have that guy play one-on-one with him. And especially if you're seeing shading over the top, say you have Tyreek on one side and you have Mecole Hardman on the other side, and he's got a slot corner lined up on him, but they're playing 2 deep safeties. That would, tell me that they're worried about both of them on each side of the ball. So,
yeah. And unfortunately, I know it's hard to see the safeties on broadcast, you guys.
Yeah.
We'll try to point those out in the film rooms each week. But when you do get a glimpse or you get a replay from the end zone cams, check out where the safeties are, and that'll tell you what the defense is thinking.
Yeah.
Steven, good question. How much has the league's emphasis on helping offense hurt the game? I think quite a bit myself, because I think now it's a boat race on nearly every game, every week. It's the exception when a defense can stop somebody effectively. I don't think that's good for the game myself.
Yeah, it really depends on how you view football. Offense, the league, at all sports, really, if you watch any of the big 4, really, hockey, football, baseball, and basketball, it's all about offense. It's become more about offense. They feel like that's what people at home want to see, and they've taken measures to make it so offense is king. And one of the things that I desperately want them to get rid of on is defensive pass interference. It's the dumbest rule out there. Most of the time, it's just holding. Or it's just a bad throw. Like, we continuously get rid of or make these bad throws from quarterbacks penalties for no reason because it's an underthrown football and there's nothing that the corner can do besides stand there and watch the right receiver come and hit him and they get thrown a flag. Like, it's the dumbest thing in the world. So I really hope they look to change the way that that rule is interpreted, because it's continually making bad quarterback throws a reward, and it's a terrible thing.
And you're going to see a lot of Lions fans lose their mind now that they have Goff.
That's not wrong.
It's going to be interesting. Thank you, Stephen. Don, do you see a day in which the defense will be better than the offense as Patrick ages? I do not.
It'll never be that way.
If I'm Steve Spagnuolo, if I'm Brett Veach, if I'm any player on that defense, I am striving just to catch up to the man. and that means, in my mind, if you can get to the point where you were in the 90s when you were giving up 12 points a game, I'd say you're close to Patrick scoring 35 a game. Yeah. I don't think it means shutout after shutout. That's never going to happen. This is the NFL. But if you get to the point, like if you're approaching single digits on what you give up on a week-to-week basis, you're there as far as I can tell. Piggybacking off the if Hardman and Robinson still fail question, what about sets with Jerick McKinnon lined up in the slot? Yes, please. I'll take those. Honestly, I will live for this thing when they line up Jerick and Clyde in the background, in the backfield behind Patrick. They get the linebackers onto the field, maybe even three of them if you have Kelsey in tight, and then they motion them all out to empty. It's a matchup in heaven. I just hope that they choose to trigger it, and I hope that McKinnon stays healthy.
That's really what it comes down to. Is we haven't seen Andy really want to do that. He's had multiple opportunities to do so, and we've seen him do it once, I think, with Le'Veon Bell and Clyde last year. I believe it was against the Broncos in that snow game. I think they did it once, and that's really kind of what it's come down to. Maybe he goes to it and looks. He's got some pretty unique players with the speed and the quickness that Clyde and Jerick give you. That is definitely something you can exploit with defenses, and it really comes down to the health of McKinnon. He hasn't really been able to stay healthy, but when he's on the field, he's going to be a guy that I believe is going to have like an all-purpose type of be an all-purpose player. He's going to be a returner. He's going to be a pass catcher. He's going to be a change of pace guy. He's going to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and so is Clyde. Clyde split out a lot in college. They just didn't get it into the offense last year. And I personally feel that the way that he wasn't used as effectively as we had hoped is because they didn't have the preseason to build that in. Like I do think we're going to see changes from the backs in particular.
I agree.
Gooch, I'm not sure I want Clark. Maybe I want my 20 million. Hey, maybe he gets on the commissioner's list and you can have your 20 million. We're going to find out. That's what it comes down to. But Jimmy's like Gooch Bayless going rogue. There you go, Gooch. I don't know how you got the Bayless tag. I'd be pissed. But, hey.
I would be too.
Fortson tight end 2 or wide receiver room. Jody Fortson, you mean? Everything that I understand, he's still practicing as a tight end. That's all I got. And there's 17,000 dudes at wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I think this is the end of the road for Jody. They drafted Noah Gray to basically replace him because the wide receiver room was full, and they really, really, really like Noah Gray, what he brings to the table. So I think it's the end of the road.
I think you're probably correct. I will say this. If Jody is to make the 53, he has to drastically outplay in the pass game what Blake Bell can do in the blocking game.
Yeah.
That's really what it's going to come down to. Let's see. What yak do you see for CH this season? I mean, it depends how he's used.
Yeah, it's a tough question to answer because, like I said, it's all based on usage. And if they can find a way to get the screen game going a bit more, I think you're going to see a pretty big uptick in that yak. Because if you guys go back to 2019, when they had Kareem Hunt, think about that Browns game, really specifically. Think of that Browns game. You had both Spencer Ware and Kareem Hunt break huge catch and runs on some of those screens. Last year, the offensive line did not afford them to be able to do that. You've got guys trying to get out to the flat, but they're missing all their blocks left and right. They're overrunning their assignments, and it just was not a very concise and precise offensive line to run these screens with. So I think that that's a big improvement. Hopefully this year, Andy's going to, I would imagine, go back to them because he does love his screens. We all know that. And again, if you see Clyde out wide, it's an opportunity to get him the ball quick and beat a guy one-on-one and get that yak.
Yep. I don't know if they're going to do more. I would like to see it too, but I'm not sure if Creed and Tooney are enough. I'm not sure that they definitely don't want Long out there on screens. I don't think he can move well enough anymore. LDT is a question mark in that way, and Trey Smith is not a screen guy. So you're coming down to just your center and left guard. I'm not sure. We might see them go away from it even. I don't even know. I will tell you this, though. My favorite route from CEH was the arrow route in college, and if they get back to doing that, he's a total natural at that.
He's going to destroy linebackers, and it's not. They're going to be tripping over themselves.
Yeah, and remember that wheel route that they sent Sherman against the Chargers, that big touchdown. Like Clyde can do that all day long.
Yes,
and there are very few linebackers that can get all the way out there and cover him on it. So if you see him start to switch up safeties on him, then you know that they're a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
Let's see. I saw something I was going to put up here. Good question, Aaron. Can Cheetah catch McKinnon from behind like he did Damian Williams? Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I think that Damian and McKinnon are pretty close to speed-wise from watching their film, and he's on a different level. He runs so much faster than people really give him any credit for.
Now, we have to keep in mind, McKinnon's 29 years old. I did a comparison just of their combine stuff, so drastically older, but he's quite a bit faster than Damian was. He's still over a tenth. I think it's actually 1,500ths slower in the 40 than Tyreek is. It's not that close. And I'll tell you guys this, too. When DK Metcalf and Tyreek race, pay attention to how long it is. Because Tyreek's best time as a high school track athlete was nearly 2/10 faster than what DK just ran this summer. And I think Tyreek's faster than he was in high school now.
I'm also pretty sure that DK did not race him when he got challenged the first time, and now he wants that smoke.
Good point. Very good point.
I mean, really? Because I'm like 99% sure that Tyreek challenged him before, and he just was like, nah, I'm good.
Peace, little man. You just run. I like the going row with Gooch and Stevie. That's good. Rogue Head Huddle is the name of their show. I think you guys are going to dig it. Varian. I hope I said that right. I changed my name. Oh, okay. How can Andy improve his game plan and play calling in order to make a better run? Dan, say something because I'm. Yeah.
Well, Andy is always adapting his offense. He's always adapting his play calling. He's changing things, but there is always some niches in Andy's play calling. If you remember, even last year when the offensive line was terrible, second and long runs, a favorite of Andy Reid's. 2nd and 10, let's run it. It pains me every time they hand the ball off on 2nd and 10. I cry a little bit. And my heart hurts every time it happens because it's just not smart. You can run the ball first down, second and whatever you want. But when you're like second and long, you think you're catching them off guard, especially with a bad offensive line. It's not going to work. And we saw that. But I do believe that Andy has been changing ever since Patrick Mahomes became his quarterback. And it's going to continue the year after year. As long as he's the head coach, he's going to adapt the way he does things. And Mahomes himself is going to adapt to these play calls as well. He's going to be better at audibling and getting out of looks and doing it on the field to make Andy look better as well. So I think it's really all going to be them working together to make that happen.
I think you're right on all those points. And I will add just these two. I won't say this very often. There's one aspect of Bill Belichick that I wish Andy Reid had more of, and that is that killer instinct. Run this stuff until you stop it. And just
pound on the ground.
Bash them with the pitch passes. Nobody has stopped it effectively. He just stopped calling it.
Yeah.
I mean, make them hurt until they prove that they can stop you. And then throw out your next trick. You know what I mean? And he's got a mile long.
Give him the same look and do something off of it. Like just
Absolutely.
you can do something like those you're talking about. He did it twice against the draw plays against the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. He did it twice in the second half, and they both went for almost 10 plus yards, and yet he didn't do it again. I get you're losing, you want to throw the ball, but at the same time, you just got to do what works.
And that's the thing is like I think Andy gets a little too caught up in making sure that he's not predictable. Sometimes I think that predictability works because, again, if you ran that draw 2 more times, even if you didn't get 5 yards of carry, that means they brought somebody else down into the box, and all of a sudden Tyreek's loose over the top. That's how that works.
Yep.
Oh, don't get me started. I'm not here to criticize Andy Reid's play calling.
I'm not either.
That's why I'm so reluctant to do it. But I think there are some little idiosyncrasies of his. And I think that he wants to throw. Like, he personally enjoys that. Yeah. I think there are times, like the Buffalo game, when it's inclement weather, that it kind of like hits the switch in Andy's own brain. Like, okay, it's okay to run more. Like, if he didn't have to get to that point and he would just take what's there, I think that would be better for everyone too. Demetrius, welcome, Akron, Ohio. Glad you're here. Any chance the Chiefs keep 6 linebackers? I can't see it. There's no way. I think they're going to be stretching to keep 5 because I think there might be better special teams players that are better than that 5th linebacker. I don't know.
It's going to be tough.
Lee Dre, do you guys think there's a chance that CEH runs for over 1,000? Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so we are together on that one. I like that. Let's see. Other question marks, you guys. I'm going to hit the last super chats here as well, and we will call it a night. Michael, all things being equal, do you prefer Houston or Ingram to fill our needs as Frank is out? I don't think there's really a choice. I don't think the Chiefs will have Houston back.
No, I don't either, but if given one, I still take Ingram.
Yeah.
I think that just because I think that what he brings in terms of being a pass rush specialist is more what the Chiefs will need. They have guys that can come in and stop the run. And I know Houston can still do it. I think that Ingram, you just use him specifically for that one thing, he might provide a little bit more. And it'll be cheaper, I think.
I'll disagree just because I'm a Justin Houston fan. Hey, she is too, see?
Oh,
hey, little one.
She is. She should be.
5-0. 5-0.
Good night.
Night-night. Say night to everyone. Night-night.
Good night.
It's a family show, folks. With the Clark uncertainty, does Kendo make the roster, or he doesn't get poached off the practice squad? I'm not convinced of either. You guys, he was not a 15 sack producer in college.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure anybody's coming poaching him. I feel that he's safe. He's got to really show me something to make me think otherwise.
I'm interested. I think he's going to make the roster, especially if Clark ends up being suspended or whatnot. I think that kind of pushes him up. But let's say that Frank doesn't get suspended this year. Let's say they pushed it. They're still working things out in this season into next season. I think that the defensive end room's tight, and he probably will be on the practice squad. And if you went and looked at his tape, the Chiefs took him based off of a lot of raw ability. And that, as much as we'd like to project, the guarantee that is going to come through is still a very small percentage. And the Chiefs are hoping that the coaching staff can get the best out of him. That's why you make these picks like they did with K-Pass and things like that, to get what you see possible out of these players, and not he wasn't, he went down the draft boards for a reason. So teams are also a little suspect on what he can bring. So I think that he's not going to be poached off the practice squad.
Yeah. And good for him. I think a year in a system can help him dramatically, to tell you the truth.
Very much so.
Let's see. Julian, how are you, man? With McColl being in the system, would you say he is better player comp to Djax or J-Mac?
I like this. This is a good question.
I'll let you go first.
For me, it's Deshaun Jackson. I think that he's a better pure deep threat. I don't think that he has the precision of Jeremy Maclin's route running. That was one of the things that he was very good at. Yeah, he could run by guys, but he was also a precise player. That's one of the reasons that Andy brought him over for Alex Smith, a guy who is based off of speed, precision, and getting the ball out quick. I think that Deshaun Jackson works, obviously stretches the field, and is a great punt returner. I believe that McColl mirrors him a little bit better than he does Jeremy Maclin.
Yeah, I would agree with you. J-Mac survives contact, always did. I have yet to see McCole Hardman win routes on contact. So I would definitely compare him more to Deshaun. Good question, Julian. Ryan White, no worries, man. N'Keal Harry would only move the needle for me if they decided that all of a sudden they're going to throw 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he does.
That's it.
So if they make that change and all of a sudden we say, hey, here's a 7th rounder for N'Keal Harry, like expect some jump balls is all I'm going to tell you.
All I'm going to say is if they're going to do that, just go bring in Hakeem Butler instead for free.
There is that. There's
those two guys that I was really high on.
I'll bring Chris Conley back if you're going to actually throw it up.
Yep. Let him go get it. He's got the best vertical. Just throw it up to him. Don't get me started on Chris Conley.
Steven, could any of the young linebackers have potential to be Bobby Bell? No. I don't see anyone on this roster with that potential. You're talking Hall of Fame, man. No. I mean, Willie Gay needed to have 100 tackles in his rookie year for me to even consider that. Like, I don't see that. I don't see anyone can get there from here.
Yeah.
Do you think the Chiefs – who do you think will be the Chiefs MVP this season?
Is it a trick question? Do I have to – I'm not going to say
I was going to say the scenario – I don't want to talk about the scenario where he's not. So,
yeah, I'm not going to talk about it.
It'll be Patrick Darrell.
Yeah. It'll be I'm sorry. If you want a different answer, then I'll give it to Tyreek Hill. I think he's.
I'm not gonna jinx it. I refuse. Yeah, you guys. There's some great stuff over in the store. Thank you for reminding me, Aaron. I keep forgetting to do that. I'm pretty good about doing business at the beginning of the stream, not at the end. I'm terrible. Rob, anyone to go get and replace? The big question marks are Justin Houston. Again, I don't think that relationship is there for him to come back. Melvin Ingram. And then I think a dark horse might be Olivier Vernon just because he's more of the Spags type end. I don't think he brings the dynamic pass rush, so no. I don't know that he helps you. But
I believe that Ian Rappaport said on Pat McAfee's show today that he believes that if there's something happens with Frank Clark, that they will bring in Melvin Ingram.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that was my anticipation too.
Yeah, I mean, especially if he gets put on the commissioner's list, they automatically get like $19 million in cap space, which if Melvin Ingram makes more than Jadeveon Clowney, I'd be shocked. And that was like a 1 year, 8.25 contract. I
can see that. I'd see a little bit less because I think he's just going to be a pass rush specialist.
Yeah, I'm guessing they said the same thing, and that's why he passed. And now he kind of has him over the barrel, like he knows they need pass rush if that happens. So I don't know. Thank you, guys. Appreciate all the super chats. Julian's got another question, though. I know we are a long way from next year's draft and prospects. The best player to replace Frank Clark is Drake Jackson. Whenever either of you can, check him out. Okay. I was going to check out the dude in Oregon. I know he's going to be the top pass rusher.
Thibodeau?
Yeah.
I think that's what you're talking about.
Thank you for that, Julian. I'm going to put him on the top of the watch list here. Might as well start getting film early, right? Julian, drop one more comment. Is he a junior or a senior this year? That's what I need to know. Let's see. Okay, we're going to speed it up. I didn't realize we were over time already.
Oh, man.
We'll hit these last two and the last super chats, and we'll let you guys have your evening back. Dan, your thoughts on the Chiefs brought in Sherman as a deep safety instead of a corner?
Oh, I'd love it. He would be a phenomenal safety convert. He knows the game inside and out. You let him do what he does best. Read the field as it's happening. It would be great, but I don't see him wanting to do that.
Yeah, I don't either. He'll go down with the ship, I think. Trey, very good point. Those guys are going to get the full Arrowhead experience this year.
Yeah.
Michael, will Kelsey ever throw the ball when in the Wildcat? They have to at least fake it sometimes, but hopefully Travis never throws a pass again.
I think he will. I don't think he can. I don't think Andy can quit him. I don't think he can do it.
Aww. I can hear it in my head now. Stop that. Thanks, Big Test. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
appreciate the support, dude. Thank you. Let's see. Tata. No, that's not a question. See, I keep seeing things that aren't there, you guys. Thank you, Real. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you.
We'll keep looking. Don's got a question. How long is a hop-heavy team like the Chiefs? Heavy. Okay, I was going to say, like, is this like, are we talking beers now? You're switching my gears on me. Able to dominate an injury to a star player could hurt the team a lot. I mean, it could. if you're playing your top competition. But we've seen Tyreek miss games. We've seen Kelsey have games where, honestly, he had enough drops to hurt the team rather than help it. Like, there's been games where all the stars weren't producing and they were still pretty easy wins, in my opinion. But
yeah, there's really two players on this team that help lift everyone else when players get hurt, and that's Tyrann Mathieu and Patrick Mahomes. They facilitate everybody because they are able to do things that a lot of other people can't do. Mathieu makes sure everyone's lined up. That's why I believe he should get the green dot. And Mahomes can elevate everyone offensively because he's that good of a player. So I believe as long as they're there, they can elevate people to do things that maybe they didn't think they could do beforehand because they just put them in the right spot to succeed.
I like your green dot comment. You've been listening to Nate, haven't you? We're going to get Nate Tice back on the show. He's been talking about the same thing lately, and I've been kind of going back and forth in my head about it. Maybe we'll have a debate about that, you guys, because I think at the end of the day, while it makes sense in one way, it doesn't make sense in another, and I'd be a little concerned about it, but that's just me. So, guys, look for that. Maybe we'll start a whole other NFL channel just to talk about this stuff that isn't Chiefs-specific. Canadian Chief, how are you? Welcome back. What do you see being let go from another team this season before it starts that we could pick up if Clark is suspended? That's a tough one.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Who is the guy? Kerrigan left Washington. Was it Detroit that he signed with? And Don, cheers to Hawkinson. I do like Hawkinson as a player. I think he might have a better year. We'll see. He's going to be somebody's best friend that's a quarterback. I'll tell you that. I'm trying to think. There was somebody that I had on my mind, like they brought in enough rookie talent that I thought maybe they were going to compete for it. But I've lost it at this point.
Yeah, Kerrigan plays for the Eagles.
Oh, it was the Eagles he signed with. You're right. Okay. There's somebody else out there then.
Yeah, I don't know right now, man. I think that everyone's kind of set in stone at defensive end. Anyway.
Rock on, Julian. Thank you. Okay, so he's a sophomore. Okay, he's definitely not on my list yet then. I don't put him on the list till juniors. So I will add him because you never know. Every now and then a sophomore comes out. We'll see. Please watch Storm Duck.
What?
Okay.
I think
that's Thibodeau for the Oregon Ducks.
I think so.
Scott, thanks everyone for writing. Thank you to the whole crew Scott. Here, you guys. Oh, sorry, Joe. I did miss you. If you would ask it again real quick, I will make sure to answer it before we finish up. Let's see. Who else? Oh, there's a Raiders fan in here. You must be the guy that always gives me the thumbs down. Well, it's nice to meet you finally.
That's okay.
And if you could stop doing that, I would appreciate it. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the Darth Vader Dome. I think that place looks bad. And,
it's going to be awesome.
I'm going to go visit it. I will tell you that for certain. Let's see. Dude, what's up, dude? Currently guiding in Alaska. I love that. Find some time.
That's awesome.
Hey, well, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you.
I got a buddy up in Anchorage that does the same thing. He lives out of a shack and fishes salmon, takes guiding all summer, and so he doesn't get to watch either. But I hope you guys get to have a beer. Let's see. Who was it was Joe Cunningham. Joe Cunningham, ask your question again, and I'll make sure I get it here.
Yeah, he just did.
Oh, Didi, I guess I was wrong. The guy's name is Storm Duck.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I'm going to have to watch him because that name in and of itself means I have to.
He's got to name his kid Chuckin.
Has to.
That would be awesome. Let's see. Thank you, Aaron. We appreciate that.
Thank you, man.
We're trying. Joe, there he is. Okay. Pool at CB, Gurley at RB. Thoughts? I'll pass on Gurley.
I'll bring him Pool.
You're done with thought. Yeah, that was my thought too. Like that could be something. I mean, he could compete enough to maybe get on the field. I'm not sure what they have in Hughes. I've been really disappointed in Hughes. I thought he was going to be a guy that was going to ascend to a solid player, like a number 2. Yeah. He's not there. And from what I understand, he didn't make a whole lot of progress at OTAs. So
no, I don't think he's going to make the roster, honestly.
Yeah, you think it's that bad? I wouldn't that far down, but
I mean, I think that he's behind everyone, and I would put Fenton out there at slot over him.
Okay.
It really depends. I mean, unless I think he could maybe give something. But other than that, he didn't really invest all that much, so I'm not that worried about it.
Ben, thank you. And for all the support.
Yes, thank you, Ben.
dude, you've been smashing it all summer, and we do appreciate it very much. It has allowed us to do a lot here as we get up and going.
You guys are looking at some of the fruits of it. I appreciate it really a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are going to see more. Hopefully, I will get those Discord invites out to the members this week. If you want to be a member or you want to be in our member-only Discord, that's one of the new perks for the memberships, rookie and above. Just jump in there. It's a monthly deal. You don't have to do it year-round if you don't want, but that's how you get in. So I just wanted to make that open. It's not exclusive. All you have to do is choose to join. Not a big deal. Thank you to Canadian Chief. Again, I appreciate the tips in Canadian dollars. I think we make a little extra that way.
Thank you.
YouTube takes their half no matter what, but I like a couple extra cents. And I think that is our last super chat. And, oh, no. 15 TDs, 15 breaks TD record this year. Do you think so?
Not this year. I think we'll do it next year.
Okay. I can get down with that. Mr. Miller, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm glad you guys were able to be here, and thanks for getting back in, Dan.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to come back after vacation and have everything nice and set up for you guys. We're still working on some things up here, but it's going to be nice, and I really appreciate everything you guys have done for us over this off season. All we're doing is growing, and I'm excited where we are headed. So thank you guys.
And dude, you sound good.
I'm glad. This is a very nice microphone.
We'll talk in a minute about what we're going to do with it. Okay, folks, you guys have a good night, and we will catch you next time. Video tomorrow. Dan's film on Thursday, you think? Or on Wednesday?
I'll get something out Wednesday, yeah.
Okay, we'll have something. And then Seth will be back on Thursday night, as always, you guys. So thanks for watching tonight. Like, sub, and hit the bell, especially you Raiders and Cleveland fans that I see in here. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll talk to you next time.